Have you ever felt embarrassed to share your own website? Like when someone asks for your URL, you immediately start with the excuses about how it's quite not where you want it to be, and maybe go visit you on social media instead of sending people to your website. That's exactly where one of my recent clients, romance author Jamie P. Bradley, was before we completely transformed her online presence. And today, I'm going to talk you through the before and after reveal. By the end of this episode, you will learn exactly which elements make visitors instantly connect with your brand and the strategy behind creating a website that makes your ideal clients think, this person totally gets me. Welcome to Website Design Made Simple, the podcast for busy small business owners who want a high performing website that converts and sells their offers, even while they're sleeping. Because you deserve to have a strategic and beautiful website that truly represents your brand and positions you as the expert that you are. I'm your host, Jenny B., web designer and creative director at Jenny B Designs, where we believe that your website is the one thing that makes you sales and builds your brand at the same time. Ready to say goodbye to a website that you're embarrassed to share? And hello to a money-making, personality-packed powerhouse? Let's head into today's episode. Hello, welcome back to the pod. I am so grateful that you're taking the time to spend with me today. I thought that it would be fun to do a before and after chat with you on the pod. I did this back in episode 6, Fall Back in Love with Your Website, a behind the scenes of a client website design project. And I did this with my client, Alana. She was a photographer. And there was a lot of great feedback, people learning what actually goes into creating a beautiful but high converting website. And today I am going to walk you through my client Jamie's website. She is a romance author, and I'm a huge romance fan, and this was an absolute dream client to work with. It was so fun to create her website. And what made it even more fun is that I am her ideal client. So I was able to just dive into the role and create a beautiful but converting website for her that truly shares her unique personality out with the world. I'm going to walk you through the behind the scenes before her website, what it looked like, what it was missing, and then what we did in the new website to truly transform her look and basically her client's experience when people landed on her website and what the goals were for her website. And what you're going to learn throughout this episode, you'll be able to take away some of the strategies that I use and how, understanding those strategies, I put those into place with the design. And I am sure that no matter what state your website is in, whether you've had it for a while, you need a redesign, you just had it done, I think you're going to learn some really fun tips that you can implement on your site today. So let's walk right through and start at the beginning. Oh, and before I get there, let me do a quick introduction. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jenny B. I own Jenny B Designs, and we are a brand and website design studio. My passion is helping small businesses just like you design a beautiful website that reflects your unique personality, brings it out, and attracts your ideal clients and makes you money. Because at the end of the day, that's why you have a website, to make you money. Let's start at the top. When Jamie was thinking about her old website and I asked her what the biggest frustration was, she told me that it didn't reflect who she was and that it really was just a place where she grabbed a URL online and put up some information so that people would be able to learn a little bit more about her and her books when they land on the website. But there was no strategy behind the design. There was no user experience or customer journey in mind. And it basically was just a place where she put some information about her books. There was a photo of her, and there was a newsletter sign up, which I think is super key and is something that will carry through to the new website. When you look at her old website, she has a logo, but it actually is only featured in the footer of her website. And the hero section, which is one of the most important parts of a website, was 2 pictures of her books with some reviews next to it, and that was it. No button or anything to buy the book, no button to lead people to the next page, and it just was a placeholder, I guess I would say. And I think that she did an amazing job for building a website yourself. It's hard to build a website. You don't know what needs to go where, but you want to have information for people to read. And so, you start a website and you put some information up and then it kind of sits there. We wanted to solve some problems for her on her website. The first problem, I think, was that it didn't reflect who she was, who her brand was. She is a really fun brand. If you go through her old website, there was a place where she describes her as heartwarming, hot, and kind of awkward. It's really awesome. The kind of book I like reading. And that wasn't clear when you landed on her old website. Her branding, her visual branding, there was no logo up at the top. She did have the pink, which follows through to her books, but she was missing a green that she uses throughout, as well as the fonts that she used with her titles on her book covers. And it didn't really have any personality. It just was words and photos essentially on a page. That was problem number one. Problem number two was that there was no customer journey. When someone landed on her website, there was nothing guiding people to the next page. For an author, most likely, you probably have two ideal actions you want someone to take on your website. Number one would be to buy your book, assuming that you maybe send it to a third party and you get a small commission off of that, or maybe you sell it yourself. And number two would be to sign up for your newsletter, because you want people to get on your newsletter so that you can stay top of mind, stay in touch, let them know when you have events, upcoming books, things like that. Most likely there would be two actions if you were an author. Same thing would apply if you're a service provider. There's probably a primary action and there might be a secondary action, such as to sign up for your newsletter list. There was no client journey on her website, no links guiding people to buy the books. And there was a newsletter sign up, which was at the bottom. That's something that we wanted to carry through. Those would be the two main things. As well, there wasn't a structure. Her navigation, it had home, about, projects, contact. I love the about. The about is an important page to have. Projects, I think she was referring to books, and understanding that she is a newer author and she has just started her writing journey and she's writing, I think, a couple more at this point in time. She's going to be expanding upon her library. Having a place called books where she can add the books as she writes them and have them listed on one page would be a priority for her new website. And then a contact page. She also had a strategy where she wanted to get people on her newsletter. And how is she going to do this? By offering some bonus content. This is one of my favorite things when I read books and I get to the end of the book, the author will say something like, "Are you interested in learning more about so-and-so's journey? Go to my website and you can read an additional chapter that I wrote." This is such a cool way to get people onto your newsletter. And I love this idea. It's out of the ordinary. It is a freebie. It's an opt-in. It's that irresistible freebie I talk about, but it's something that people really want. And for an author, this is a great thing to add. So those were the problems we were trying to solve. And of course, this affects her bottom line. It affects her book sales because you want a website that's going to sell books. You want a website that's going to add people to her newsletter list because from there she will be able to sell books. And you want something that increases her authority, her brand authority. And this current website, the old website she had, wasn't doing. So let's talk about some of the strategy, the behind the scenes thinking that we had to go through to come up with the new design for the new website. The first one was, who is Jamie's ideal reader? It's me. It's me right here. It's someone who loves to read romance novels, as you want to call them, contemporary romance. That's fun and witty and enjoyable, and it's just something that is light and airy. And her website needs to reflect that. It needs to have a fun personality, a very easygoing user journey, and this should apply to all websites. You should have a very easy user journey. People should not be having to use their brains to figure out what they need to do on your website. And of course, her business goals were to get people to buy the book and to sign up for her freebie. And how did we decide on the visual direction? It came from her brand. Like I said, she had a brand. It was offline and everything else that she did, and it needed to be represented on her website. We pulled her beautiful logo in at the top, and we pulled her pinks and the greens. She has a very army type green color there. quick question. Are you frustrated with your website? Not sure why it isn't converting? I would love to help. That's why I offer my website coaching calls. In just 50 minutes, we'll uncover what's holding your site back and create a plan to fix it. Whether you need help with design, content, or strategy, I'll give you the clear steps to move forward. Click the link in the show notes to book your coaching call today, and let's make your website your best marketing tool. Now back to the episode. And her fonts that she uses on her covers of her books, we pulled it on to the page. And we prioritized leading people on a simple and fun journey to buy the book or sign up for the newsletter. I'm going to flip open to the new website and chat with you. Before and afters. Before, on the other website, like I said, the hero section, it just said real romance, and it had a couple of pictures of her covers. On the new website, there is a fantastic picture of Jamie looking at the words on the left-hand side of the screen, and it says heartwarming, hot, kind of awkward. I write real-life characters with grit, attitude, and broken pasts so that I can give them the extraordinary, happily ever after love they deserve, with outstanding sex along the way. Check out my new releases, a button. That is a super clear hero headline section. It tells the reader exactly what they're going to get from her books, and it's guiding them to check out her new releases. And I have a little social proof there with a cute little green heart. It's just a great contemporary romance from Jen Prokop, Fated Mates podcast co-host. It adds a little bit of punch on the hero section. I have recently been trying to add some social proof to hero sections because when someone lands there, it's such an important section, and having that social proof front and center gives your reader just a little bit more of a boost when they land. Something to consider for your website. This is such a clear hero. And then when you scroll down the page, actually before you scroll down, I want to share the colors that I'm using. I'm using a pale pink for the background. I'm using a hot pink for the title words. And the buttons are this army green that she really loves, but it's not a flat green. I've used a gradient that blends into more of a black on those buttons to make them really stand out. And when you hover over it, it changes a little bit of the cover. Up at the top, that top navigation, she has 4 things, and one of them is a button. The first option is books, bonus content, about, and then the button on the right-hand side is get my newsletter. What do we want people to do? We want people to buy the book, her books. We want people to go to the bonus content section and sign up for her bonus content to learn more about Jamie. And then the button on the right-hand side, get my newsletter. Easy, sign up for her newsletter. When you think about your navigation on your website, I like to see 5 items or less. If you can get it down to more, Jamie's got 3. Amazing. Less is more. Truly, people don't need to be overwhelmed with all the information. If you can guide them on a strategic journey, you can give them the information that they need in an easy to digest way. Think about your navigation and what you can do there. Now, as you scroll down the website, the next section is called New Releases. And Jamie had a really cool script font. I noticed it was on her book covers, but it wasn't being used on her website. We incorporated it into a few different headlines on her website. So the New Releases section has a great script font. You can read it, and I will say sometimes script fonts are hard to read. But in this instance, it says New Releases. It's easy to read. It is kind of an accent, but you know when you see her 3 books that she's got, these are her new books. It's understandable that these are her new releases. And under each book cover, she's got to learn more, which takes people to the page to learn more about that book and to buy it. Under that section, there's a photo of Jamie. It says, Meet Jamie, romance author, former farm kid, and happily ever after enthusiast. That's her headline. It's a great, fun headline. I've got Meet Jamie in a script font. And then it has a little paragraph about her with a button, find out more about Jamie. On your homepage, it's important to have a section about you behind the business. Who runs this business? People want to know who's behind the brand. And even if you don't want to have a photo of you, maybe you have a team, you could have a photo of your team. Maybe you can have a photo of if you have a physical building, you could put that there. It's important to share who's behind the brand to make that emotional connection with your website viewers. As you continue to scroll down, I've got some of her most recent reviews in fun boxes that move over. that come from either side, motion effects, kind words from readers. And then under that, there's a call to action, shop the books. When you're sharing social proof, that is a great place to add a link to learn more about the action you want people to take. For Jamie, it's shop the books. They're going to learn more about her books to buy a book. For a service provider, if you have services on your homepage, under your social proof, have a button that says, learn how to work together, or learn about my consulting services. Find out more about how we can work together. You inquire about the process so that they can learn more, guiding your visitors towards the next step. And then the last section of her homepage and the last section of every page on a website should have a call to action. It should never just be a dead end, like I say. Jamie has free bonus ending to my book, Get My Bonus Content. When they click it, they're taken to her bonus content page and they can sign up for a free, alternate ending or an additional page or something to read, and they get added to her newsletter because that's one of her main goals. Thinking about your own website, at the bottom of every single page, do you have a call to action? Is there a button? That is an important piece of every single page. And then, of course, there's the footer. And before, Jamie had a decent footer. She had all her social media. She had her logo. I added a paragraph that shares a little bit more about her. It's a nice touch on a website to add a little blurb about who you are or who you serve. Because, yes, I know someone's on your website. They looked you up. They're reading about you. But on every single page, it's a nice reminder in a simplistic way to share what you do. On Jamie's, it says, romance author J.P. Bradley crafts heartwarming, steamy stories about imperfect people finding extraordinary love and always delivers a happily ever after. Really simple, but it's clean and people know when they're on her website, every single page, that's who she is. In case they forgot, that's what she does. And then, of course, there's a navigation in the book's bonus content about speaking and appearances and contact. Now notice, speaking and appearances is in the footer and it wasn't up at the top of the website. At the top, I want you to keep your primary actions there. What is it that you want people to do on your website? Buy your book, sign up for your newsletter. Speaking and appearances is important to Jamie. She's something that she's trying to do. She's going to be sending that URL, that page, to potential places that she wants to be as a speaker. And of course, when someone comes to her website, they'll be able to find it. It is linked down in the footer. So now that you've walked through Jamie's complete transformation with me, let's talk about what you as a small business owner can take from this and apply to your own business right away. Here are the key things that will make the biggest difference. First, your homepage hero section. It needs to immediately tell the visitors what you do and who it's for. Jamie's old site just said real romance with some book covers. Her new site says exactly what kind of romance she writes and who her characters are. Your hero section should pass the 3-second test. Can someone land there and immediately understand what you offer and whether it's for them? The second is to create a clear customer journey. Her old site had no buttons guiding people anywhere, but now every section on her new website leads visitors towards buying her books or joining her newsletter. What on your website are the 1 or 2 main actions you want visitors to take? Make those paths clear and easy to follow. And third, probably the most fun and what I love most about working with my clients is letting your personality shine through your design. We pulled Jamie's brand colors, her fonts from her book covers, and her fun voice that she uses everywhere into every single part of the site. Your website needs to feel like you. If someone meets you in person and then visits your website, there shouldn't be a disconnect. And finally, every page needs a call to action. Never leave your visitors at a dead end. Her old site just stopped at the end, but in her new site, it guides people to either shop her books or get bonus content on every single page. Now, if you are hearing everything that I said, I just shared some things to focus on, but you're wondering what you should prioritize first, start with your homepage hero section. That is the most important section of your website. Get that messaging super, super clear. Make sure visitors know within 3 seconds what you do, who it's for, and what they should do next. And if your website is making you feel like Jamie felt, embarrassed to share it, making excuses for it, that is costing you money and confidence every single day. Your website should be working as hard as you are to attract your ideal clients. So if you are ready to stop making excuses for your website and want to start feeling proud to share it, I would love to help you create that same transformation. You can book a free discovery call with me. There's a link in the show notes, and we can chat about your vision and how we can bring it to life. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If it helped you see your website differently, I would love for you to share it with another small business owner who might need to hear this. I'll talk to you next week. And that wraps up another episode of Website Design Made Simple. I hope you found the insights shared in this episode valuable and takes you one step closer to creating a website that attracts more of your ideal clients and builds your brand. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. Your review will help us reach more small business owners like you who are ready to make more money with their website. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.